right, welcome back. I don't see the episode up there. It's 49. So
49.
next one will be 50. And I
Ooh.
believe we got a guest lined up for episode 50 already. So I don't know if that's gonna be next week or 2 weeks. We've been doing it kind of every 2 weeks here, but yeah, kind of had some time to decompress, to ponder, to think, whatever those words you want to use to describe last weekend. We'll digest and dive into all those thoughts and feelings here in a bit. But per the usual, we will do an update for this past week. And I think when I say update, what have you been up to personally? And I guess if you can try to keep the Packers out of it, I think we're going to be spending the majority of this episode speaking about that game, their current situation, as well as the future. So, who wants to start us off today? Anybody specific? Just roar and waiting to introduce themselves here. Matt,
I'll
go
start.
ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
go.
So yeah, last weekend, which we'll talk about, I was lucky enough to be at the game. Um, Obviously, I had a blast, but the outcome sucked. And then this weekend was a big weekend in the Lennon household here. We ripped up the old carpet, and actually, that was kind of all week. I was kind of prepping. And then our good buddies, or my good buddy Brady Beth and his wife Brittany came up, and we put up flooring in our living room, in our hallway. We didn't quite get down to our basement in the stairs, but that's for another weekend. And I kind of message you guys, like, people that do that for a living, like, kudos to you. Like, I give you guys props because my knees are shot. And yeah, looks great.
So you're happy
was,
with it. You're happy
yeah,
with it anyway.
yeah. And it worked out good because, like, Brady is like a perfectionist. And so, like, it needed to be where towards the end, I would have just been like, it looks good enough. Like, just get it done. So yeah, learned some handy skills.
Which is kind of surprising because your dad was never
Yeah.
that way, right?
No. Well, my dad is super handy.
Yeah.
And me and Mike are not.
But I would even say Matt is more handy than me, 100%.
Which isn't saying much.
We're going to talk about Big Mike here.
That must have been your time at the old RCC, huh, Matt?
Oh yeah, the old ground screw days.
There you go.
Yeah. So, well, good. I mean, that's got to be, like one of those things where it's like, well, no, I got to think about it. It's over. It's
and it's kind of been on. Well, I mean, I like carpet, but it was white, and so anything was staining that bad boy. And so it was nice. It was a long time overdue.
Yeah. Mike.
Cadillac. What's going on?
It's
good to be back.
Nice to see you.
49. Yeah, just a lot of hockey here. Been a crazy couple of weeks just with COVID. We had a bunch of games canceled, so rescheduling. Played St. John's last Monday, which is pretty cool. They play at St. Cloud's Arena, which is the Herbrook Center, which is pretty cool to be there. Had a big win on Thursday. Beat River Falls.
Second
Friday,
in the WIAC.
Yes, second in the WIAC. Win them on Friday.
Or the WIAC.
Thank you, Jay Green.
It's WIAC, but yeah. So then on Friday, actually, and it's not me pushing, but like Henry wants to be at the rink 24/7. So I told him that there was a girls hockey game on Friday. They played River Falls as well, who's ranked 2 in the country.
Oh.
So we went to that game. Saturday we went down to River Falls to play, and then today we actually went sledding here in Ashland. There's a outdoor hockey rink on the kind of by the east side of town that we went skating as well. I watched a half of the previous game, the Bengals game, which we'll probably get into a little bit here, I think, as well.
I think so.
Yeah, other than that, A lot of hockey this weekend, but it was fun.
Rashi Pashi.
Yeah, so honestly, haven't done a whole lot the last couple weeks since our last episode. Just kind of getting in the grind, as I call it, in terms of teaching. This is always the hardest part, at least in not that I've been teaching that long. I think this is year 9 or 10, but this has always been the hardest part of the year, is that stretch from Christmas to spring break. Because usually the weather's bad, people are kind of cranky, the kids can't get outside and play as much.
60 degrees at
well, yeah, out here, but we still get snow, and tomorrow it'll be probably 20 degrees and it'll snow a foot, and then the next 2 days it might be 50. But it's just kind of that lull where we go a long time without a break, and the kids are getting bogged down in their classes and stuff. So then when they come to our PE classes, they're all wound up, and even at the high school age that happens. So, but it's good. It's a good problem to have, but it just makes for long days, especially since I started a middle school weightlifting camp for our feeder middle school. And so that's on Mondays and Wednesdays at 4:15. And so I get those, get to relive the middle school teaching, having those kids come down, but they don't have a weight room. They don't have any access to weights at all up there at the middle school. So I wanted to provide a camp for them. So hopefully we can, one, get them more experience in the weight room. So when they get to the high school, they're already ahead of the curve, but then also from an athletic standpoint, we want to try to give them every advantage they can to improve their abilities at a younger age. So the kids are loving it. They're excited to come every day. They're excited to learn the new lifts, and then obviously do the main lifts that they're always excited to do. But that's been the majority of my focus, is that. And then out here we actually have what's called a 0 hour. So we meet from 7 to 7:50 for football, and we just lift as a football team. And so I put them into competition teams. And so they're in teams. We have 7 teams of about 9 kids, 10 kids. And they're every Friday we have competitions. And so we did a dip competition, we did a towel hang, and then we did a med ball relay this last Friday. And this next Friday we'll do more competitions, and their teams get points for it. If they're in winter and spring sport, they get points, and then their GPA is also going to give them points. And the team that wins at the end of the semester will get a sweet package of gear that our apparel guys working on right now. So just a way to goal is to develop some leaders amongst our underclassmen, because it's mainly all sophomores and juniors and some freshmen that are in there, because the seniors get out of it at semester. So it's trying to develop some leaders, and then just, that competition piece, forcing us to compete a little bit. But between those two things, that's kind of been taking all my time. And then when I do have any free time, I have little cash money asking me to jump on the trampoline like we did today for about an hour. So, but I'll tell you what, if you're ever self-conscious about your weight, don't jump on a trampoline. Everything jiggles when you jump on them things.
Well, and I also saw that you got to indulge into some of Wisconsin's finest Culvers yesterday.
Yep.
What's your go-to there?
Usually it's a triple cheeseburger basket, only ketchup and mayo on the burger, extra crispy fries.
Tell them what you just discovered.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't just discover it. I rediscovered it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
triple cheeseburger.
Yeah. Ketchup and mayo, only extra crispy fries. Anyways, so Cash always gets a kid's meal, and with it comes the ice cream. And so he mixes it up. Sometimes he wants vanilla sprinkles. Sometimes he wants vanilla with hot fudge. So he rocked vanilla with hot fudge, and I took a bite, and I was like, okay, that hot fudge tastes pretty dang good. So I go up to order myself some ice cream, and I remember when I was younger, back in the 3 Romas in 1 sitting days, when I could eat whatever I wanted, I used to get a hot fudge malt from Culver's. And just vanilla ice cream, whatever the malt means. I don't know if that's whatever custard or whatever. I don't know why it's different than a shake. We'll have to get Richie on to explain the difference between a shake and a malt. But it's basically vanilla ice cream and hot fudge, and it's into this like malt. It literally is. It's the most amazing thing you'll ever have. Like, it's seriously so good. And so I had one of those. So me and Cash had some Culvers, jumped on the trampoline again yesterday, jumped on the trampoline again today. Also built a snowman today, as me and Cash are both in shorts and boots. We built a snowman, which is kind of crazy. And that was kind of it. Just kind of a relaxing weekend with the little man.
So real quick, so what we've been doing is we'll get the kids their snack pack, or no, it's called kids meal now. They're not called snack packs anymore.
Why?
But no clue. But then what we'll do, they'll say, then we'll get them ice cream with that, and they'll say, okay, do you want us to take off the, on the bags it has like the token of the free ice cream.
Yeah.
Well, the past 3 times they have not been taking that off of our bag. So we're getting the free ice, basically a free ice cream, and we still get that little token.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah. Cheating the system.
Yeah.
Kids well. Teaching your kids well. Yeah. Well, makes that the snack pack name of Culver's always reminded me of Billy Madison when he takes his snack packs to school.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. But yeah, I guess in terms of my past week, went up, caught a wild game, which we're going to talk about. I had quite the experience with that. It was during the Packer game. So we'll talk about that a little bit here. Outside this past week, it's been very slow. Like, we didn't have any hockey games. You guys doing that about Nets comment? Yeah, I mean, it literally is. There's literally like a powder. It's the
What's malt powder? I just don't understand.
It's malted milk powder. You put it in there, and it makes that flavor of malt.
So that's the difference between a malt and a shake, is just some powder.
Pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
She's right.
All right. Sorry, Jay Green. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, no, I had no games this week for hockey. The original idea that was we leave the back end of our schedule open for COVID rescheduling of games. Fortunately, didn't have to use this week for that at all. But also, like, now we're sitting idle for almost a week. Play sock Tuesday, and then we go up to Mike's neck of the neighborhood Friday, Saturday. Play Hayward, who's got the top goalie in the state, and Ashland. So
Is that a Mystery Alaska jersey there, Jay Green?
It's a sweatshirt. Yep,
that's
nice.
Epic.
Nice.
Yep. It's a very comfortable sweatshirt. So you guys want to dive into this or
let's just do it.
Okay,
rip the Band-Aid off. Rip it off.
Say that.
And to be honest, we've had some scheduling difficulties, but like deep down for myself, I honestly just wasn't ready. Like,
well, I think that's the reality is like, okay, maybe now is a good time for us to talk about it because people will really get to see a certain side of us all.
True.
You know.
But now that we're on TV, though, I think it was a good idea that we didn't do it then because we would have been very careful with some language after that
certain
game.
Words, some certain frustrations, which are still there. I think just not as intense. And I guess I would assume a lot of the people have our listening population has watched the game or heard of it, and essentially defense played phenomenal for the Packers. Lost to the 49ers at Lambeau with some cold weather. Snow falling. It was, Matt sent us pictures, and it just looked awesome.
Unreal.
It just looked great. And I mean, everybody thought what didn't happen was supposed to happen, and that was we were going to win and win handedly. And I think a lot of what played into that is something that maybe wasn't as big a concern as it should have been, even though it was a concern for the majority of the season, and those special teams, that really defined that game, I think. I was talking to my brother this morning about it, and it was kind of like the Packers lost that game and the 49ers didn't win it. Is that an accurate statement? You guys think?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
The Packers lost it.
I kind of think, too, like, I mean, just diving into one specific play, obviously that block punt was huge. Like, I just don't – the way our defense was playing, I think if we get that punt off, There's no way, Jimmy G might get them into field goal range, but he's not.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not getting a touchdown there.
Yeah.
But-
And
Yeah.
our offense obviously was just non-existent.
Nope.
And you can't. I know AJ Dillon was a pretty big piece, but when he went down, that offense should not go down dramatically. And kind of talking to a guy at work about it, because he was actually at the game as well. It just felt like, I know it was early on, but that Mercedes Lewis fumble, I think, was actually a bigger part of the game, because that was our second possession. We were driving the same way as we were the first series.
Yeah, we went down and and scored like nothing.
And I
First
felt
drive.
like if we could have went down there and went up 14-0, then you're putting all of that comeback on Jimmy G's arm for the most part. But yeah, I mean, offense needs to take a blame, and special teams obviously needs to take a blame. Can't put any of the blame on the defense, obviously.
Well, and with the special teams too, like obviously everybody's going to look at the block punt, but you have the blocked field goal at the end of the first half. A couple of those kick returns, like where they were at, was it 2 or 3? Wasn't it 2 or 3 kick returns where they had nice returns as well. So it was literally every facet of the special teams. It was, I don't know. So I guess fortunately for my aspect, we had a game that night. We played UW Stout, so
yeah.
I tuned in. We were up. I think we're up. Was it 10-3 or something like that? Or 10-3. We were up. And literally and I'll take the blame for this, but I turned it on and it was like they block punt, go down, score a touchdown. But it gets you to think too. It's like, and we'll get into Rodgers, but it's like man, you're the MVP, okay? If we're not running the ball, like you have to make a play. Like prime example with that as well was that basically deep shot. Well, I think it was the last possession. He just chucked it up to Devontae Adams, and he had Lazard streaking through the middle. Lazard possibly could have scored on that play. There was nobody near him.
Devil's advocate, just because. And I agree with you, obviously. It seemed like their chemistry, Lazard's and Rodgers' chemistry, was getting a lot better as the season went on. And so I don't understand from that standpoint. But also in that point in time, you want to give it to your guy. You want to have him make a play. That's the idea of it, right? Like you trust Adams more than everybody else, no matter what else,
I would agree with that too, but it just seems like recently in the playoffs, that Rodgers kind of goes away from like the offense that LaFleur is pretty much like giving to him and focuses on Adams a little too much.
So here's the question then. If we were a little bit more aggressive on OBJ than we were, is that a different outcome? Because he's helped the Rams.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on, though. I mean, think of how much negative he's cost teams, just like he's added the positives. So you're just weighing the pros and cons, and that's where would he have meshed well with Favre? Sorry, I'm looking at the picture in my background there. If he's meshing well with Rodgers, or do they butt heads? Are they complete opposites where they just can't get along? Yeah. And then same thing with LaFleur too. We're like, I
just see it working well for them right now. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you just see Stafford doesn't seem like a dude that's going to like push back. You know what I'm saying? And Sean McVay doesn't seem like a coach that's going to really put a lot of restrictions on OBJ. I think he's just going to let him be OBJ, But in terms of the game, I mean, you guys said it all. It's special teams, the offense. I mean, there's multiple times I saw somebody tweet something and said to think that we lost this game after this play, and it was Rashawn Gary's tackle on that fourth down. And I think there's like 5 minutes left, and it's like, how could we have not gone at least chewed up some clock, gotten off a deep punt, whatever. Oh, block punt, and we went backwards. But Rodgers completely, in my opinion, and this could be Rodgers, this could be Hackett, it could be Dylan going down, it could be the weather. All those could be excuses. But then when these guys are getting paid to play football, they need to find solutions. They can't just make excuses. And to have 3 targets to wide receivers not named Devontae Adams is not going to win games.
No.
I mean, he's got his boy who was a big drama all year about Rodgers not coming back because he needed Randall Cobb. He wanted Randall Cobb. He had 1 target in the game, I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have Adams, you have your boy Cobb, you have Lazard who's coming on, right? You have weapons still, plus Aaron Jones out of the backfield, which they didn't utilize passing the game at all as well, at least in the second half. But the biggest thing is, 1, they got away from the run game, which I know Dylan was out. But 2, they just got completely away from how they played all season long. And that's the second or third year in a row they've done that. And that part's frustrating. And then the special teams, I mean, we said it all along. But here's what frustrates me is think if you guys remember this, who was the returner for kickoffs for the 49ers?
Debo, wasn't he?
Debo Samuel.
Yeah.
Who was the returner for the Green Bay Packers? Amari Rodgers.
Yeah.
Amari Rodgers. Who is the punt returner for the Rams right now? Cooper Kupp. So these teams are all putting their best dogs back there to return because it is win or go home. Why did we not put a big dog back there? You know what I'm saying? That's how you get a spark. Debo gave them a spark. If Debo is not back there on those kick returns, they don't get the yardage that they'd get, right? No. And if you get 10 more yards on a kickoff return, that's 10 yards closer to getting 3 points, right? So, I mean, all those yards matter. And so that's frustrating, too, to see these other teams putting their dogs back there to return kicks. And we're sitting there throwing a dude who averages 12 yards of kick return. It's just frustrating, And then on top of it, obviously the block field goal, block punt, first time in the century that's happened in a playoff game. And I mean, so all that can add in, but I mean, it was frustrating.
Rosh, you called this. You called all of this. You said, I think it was like was it 1 or 2 weeks left in the regular season? Like, oh, what's holding back the Packers? Blah blah.
Special teams.
And you said special teams, and spot on you were.
I think I got just 2 points, quick. One, like there was I think it was towards the end. It was like a 3rd and 9. Literally, the whole stadium knew they were handing the ball off to Debo, and they still got the first down.
Yeah, that was at the end of the game. If we stop them, you're telling me old man Robbie Gold is going to hit a 59-yarder in the snow? Not a chance.
Exactly.
But they let him get a 9-yard run.
Yeah. And so that was the first one. We were all like, oh my God, they're going to go to Debo. They're going to give it to Debo. And sure as blank, they did. But the second point, which is just really kind of mind blowing to me, the offensive line that we threw out there has never had that combination all year long. Billy Turner was playing left tackle. I'm not really sure why they didn't play Yash. I mean, I didn't think the O-line played bad, but I just thought it was pretty interesting that line combination had not been together in that position all year, which I think it would be nice to kind of find out why they did that, I guess. Because I thought Yash was having a pretty good year towards the end there.
Well, here's the deal, Matt. The current O-line coach is now the OC, so we're going to get to know this guy a lot more. So we can get him on the podcast and ask him in the offseason. By the way, Jay Green, I don't know if you're watching the game, but OBJ just had 2 really good deep catches. So there's that.
Well, your teammates or one of your players there, Mike's trying to chirp real quick, and we're going to get to that real quick, Daniel-san. But we'll one thing, I want to paint you guys a picture. I paint our audience a picture here. And so I'm in this Wild game, okay? And the Wild are playing the Blackhawks. Okay.
Oof.
This is on you. This is on you though.
It kind of is.
Kind of, yes, yeah.
There's other people wearing Packer hats. other people wearing Packer hats there. Like, but okay. There's a Chicago Blackhawks Bears fan to my right. They're all over the place, pretty close to St. Paul in terms of like NHL teams. But the whole arena is, Minnesota pretty much. And I go to the restroom in intermission. They blocked the punt Oh my God, for a touchdown or whatever. And so I'm hearing it then, but it's amazing. A lot of people like to say you've had great QBs for 20 years or however many long
30.
years, 30, and you got two Super Bowls, excuse me. And you're right. And then the typical thing is, well, that's more than most teams. Okay. That's true as well. But, like it's also like it got to the point here, and I'm getting there. The Packers lost, right? And the stadium's chanting, the Packers suck, and like screw the Packers. And then like the Bears fans are chiming in. He was doing it with me, right? Like,
So that's just
like, it gets to the point, and we talked about this earlier today, or not today, recently. It got to the point where it's like, these guys do not care about the Vikings. They don't care about the Bears right now. They could have. They took so much more satisfaction in us losing than them ever winning anything.
that's
It's
like
just
total little brother syndrome.
It was
like,
mind-boggling. Yeah,
they'll
absolutely
never-
mind-boggling to see so many people have the Packers so much rent-free in their heads. Like we're all in the division, and we talked, the Lions. If the Lions, that's nothing, right? You guys get where I'm going with this? And maybe put better words on it than I am?
Well, the thing is, too, is like, okay, the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. The Bears haven't been relevant for 40 years. Haven't won a Super Bowl since 85. So,
I mean, it was just, I was dumbfounded. I'm waiting outside in the freezing cold, and they're still chanting after the Packers. The Wild just won an OT.
Yeah.
Like, let's go Wild. But, like, nope. So there's that part. But okay, I just wanted to share that. I think that's kind of a funny story. So we'll get kind of to the cap issues. But before we do that, we got a couple of departures in the coaching realm. And so our offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos, right? And there was a lot of skeptical talk that, before the season, that Rodgers could be a Bronco like Manning was when he left the Colts. And now it's going to be heightened even more because Hackett's there and he was his OC. And now Getsy, am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
He is the OC for the Bears. So he's gone. So we got a couple of changes. And then you guys want to, what's the ROC's name now?
Something Stenovich.
Stenovich.
I forgot what his first name was.
He used to coach. He coached a lot. He's got a coaching career at the U of M, Michigan, for sure. O-line, and obviously, I think he did a great job coaching our O-line this year. And many years, in my opinion. So that's kind of the coaching changes update. Did I miss anything there, guys?
Just that Butkus guy who was, I think,
okay.
just the assistant O-line coach is now going to be the O-line coach.
Okay.
Yep.
well, and one thing too, it's like, why has there not been a change to our
Special teams.
Yeah.
What is that?
Everything
What is
that I was
that?
hearing, like I during work, I listened to the sports talk radio station here in La Crosse, and they were almost guaranteeing it that they would dump him this weekend because there's going to be so much going on, like they're just like to hide it in the news type thing with the football games. But like they were guaranteeing it by the end of this weekend that he'd be canned, and obviously he has not yet. So I have no idea what's going on.
We're gonna talk about this weekend here. We got obviously the cap issues. The Packers are the biggest one that sounds like it's pretty a majority between us anyway that is that Zadarius Smith is probably going to go to save some money, and he was non-existent this year anyway, for the most part. But what other moves do you see the Packers making internally in terms of reducing cap? And then also on top of that, let's make your prediction in terms of kind of what Rodgers and Adams is going to end up doing here. I know that those are two really big questions that you may not, and you can take the weasel out approach and say, let's wait and see until a couple other dominoes fall. But
I think, well, I think one of the to-do lists, I guess, would actually save us money is to extend Jair, which I think they will end up doing anyways. But
yeah,
I obviously one of the Smiths is gone, probably Zadarius. There's just so many guys. I mean, you're looking at Mason Crosby, that saves a couple mil. Yeah. Mercedes Lewis. I mean, if he comes back and takes like the vet minimum, I mean, there's a ton of guys, but to your next point, I kind of told you guys this. I think I told you guys this. I feel like it's down with Rodgers. It's either us, Broncos, or retirement, and I just don't think I see him retiring, I guess. But also, I mean, he's an interesting cat, so anything wouldn't surprise me.
He was on the McAfee show this week, and he said he doesn't want to go to a team rebuilding. And Rosh, you're going to know this probably the best out of all four of us. Is that not a rebuilding situation in Denver right now?
Yes and no. It all depends on what they do with their re-signings this year. But, I mean, their defense, like they have some talent in the secondary. And then receivers, I know Cortland Sutton's up for free agency, but they got Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant. They got a decent offensive line. Melvin Gordon's a free agent, but that Devontae Williams is a dude. I wouldn't call it rebuilding, but it all depends on free agency. If they let all their free agents walk, then it's definitely rebuilding. But if they resign a couple of them
in the division with Mahomes,
Herbert,
but just like those two teams, eventually cap space is going to catch up with them as well.
Yeah.
They're lucky right now that they got all the young guys on all the rookie contracts still. Eventually that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that plays in too. But I obviously hear it all the time out here. Oh, he's coming out here. Oh, they got Hackett. Oh, he's coming out here. I don't want to say it's not a possibility because it is a possibility. But in my mind, I honestly believe that it's Packers or retirement. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do.
You feel / hope, right?
What's up?
You feel / hope that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes somewhere, I don't care, truly. I mean, as long as we get something.
Yeah, King's ransom back.
If we get something back.
We will 100%.
Yeah. And it doesn't, in all honesty, I know that sounds horrible, but it doesn't need to be a ton. Like the Broncos fans out here, one thing that they're waving around in front of me is 3 first rounders and Jerry Jeudy. And I'm like, yeah, done. Like think of 3 first round draft picks and one of the best young wide receivers in the game, which then if you re-sign Adams, think about having that combo, or whatever. But I mean, Rodgers is an MVP. Rodgers is a dude. We all know that. But at the same time, he's also 38 years old and costs $40 million. So not only are you shedding that contract, but you're also getting 3 young players plus Jeudy back. I mean,
do you guys feel – here's a question for you, too. Do you feel more optimism getting Rodgers back than Devontae? Because that's kind of how I'm starting to feel.
Well, the thing with Devontae is we can tag him for next year. I guess he could hold out if he wants, but I obviously wouldn't see that happening.
What's the tag cost for him? 15 mil?
No, it's gonna be up. It's gonna be near 20.
Yeah, but
it'll be near 20.
If you're the Packers, I guess I would have more optimism that we're gonna probably sign Rodgers.
Get that cap guy on here
or get him back.
That salary
that Twitter guy.
Yeah. See if he could break it down to us better than we can even think of describing it,
Yeah.
I think the other point I wanted to make about this too is, and it was don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter. His name's Andy Brandt. Did he work for
He was the GM for the
He was
Packers.
the GM, yeah.
GM? Yeah, I didn't even know that. Okay, so he had something today. It's like the Packers have had they've been forming a plan. Probably if Rodgers wants to retire, if he wants to get traded, if he wants to come back, like they probably have three models that
they should anyway.
Scheming for the so it's not like this is the Packers have a plan, and
that's a good point.
The big thing for me is like this was the year to do it. Like just with the cap situation moving forward, the pieces that we had, the guys off of injury that we had coming back in this game, and maybe that's something we didn't talk about. Like maybe that was a bigger factor than, and that was something that we talked about before going into this game was, okay, we're playing well right now. We plug some of these guys in. Maybe that throws us off a little bit. And Matt talked about the offensive line.
That's true.
And for, I think DVOA or whatever that thing came out, and like the lowest graded players for that game, it was like Jair, Zadarius, a couple other guys too that they've been coming off an injury, and like that it obviously being gone for that long, it obviously takes a toll for guys to get back into it, let alone a regular season game, throw in a divisional playoff game. So
right.
I guess for me, and I know Rosh is going to be different on this, but like Rodgers is our best chance to win, and I want him back.
I will say a quick thing about that whole Zadarius thing. The stadium went absolutely bonkers. His first play coming into the game, he got a sack. Too. That was unbelievable. That was crazy.
All right. Sorry about that. My laptop was about to die, so I had to quick plug her in. But no, I think Rodgers gives us the best chance to win next year, yes. There's no denying that. I mean, the dude's arguably a two-time MVP back-to-back years. Technically, what would this be? His third if he wins it this year?
Third.
Yeah. So, like, he's a dude. Obviously, he's good. But at the same time, like, I don't know. At the same time, do we really want all the drama we went through last year? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that going to follow with us again?
But he made a comment saying, like, he's not. I think either way, like, whatever he's going to do, like, he's not going to drag this out because.
Well, he really can't. I mean, last year he could. I don't think he can this year just because, like, he knows that if he does, then he needs to make a decision because then I hate to say it, but then there's going to be a lot of pieces that are basing off of his decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
I hope he makes a decision before, like I'm saying, I hope he decides what's going down before free agency and the draft.
Yeah.
Even though, if I read that thing correctly, trading and or releasing him or whatever saves us way more if we do it after June 1st. But I think if he declares it like in March, saying, "Hey, I'm coming back," okay, great, at least we know. Or, "Hey, I want to be traded," or, "Hey, I'm retiring," that's great. Then it might not go into effect until after June 1st or whatever. Well, obviously retirement's going to happen whenever, but like if he wants to get traded, then we know, and the Packers can trade him. They'll just wait until June 1st or whatever to avoid the more dead money and to get back more cap space. But do I want him on our team? Yes, I do. But at the same time, part of the reason we're in the cap situation we are now is because of paying these guys tons of money. Where, if he leaves, if Smith leaves, if the other Smith leaves, if Crosby leaves, if we restructure some contracts, we get 3 first-round picks for trading Rodgers. Now all of a sudden we have a competitive team. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to win the Super Bowl with Jordan Love year one. I'm not saying that at all, but we're going to have a competitive team plus the pieces that we're going to continue to get younger and more affordable going forward. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I think of all the off seasons in the NFL that we have been able to like pay attention to, I guess, since, we were probably 10 years old or so. I think this one's going to be the craziest,
Yeah.
just because of, you know,
last year's was pretty crazy.
Yeah, but you got Rodgers, you got Russell Wilson, you got Tom Brady retiring, you got
Is he retired?
somebody.
We're going to get into that.
You have somebody that hasn't been talked about all year, really. It's just kind of gone under the radar since it became big time news this summer. But Deshaun Watson, you know, here's a top 10 quarterback. Where's he going? They don't like Tua down in Miami. They keep looking for a new quarterback, you know, and with all these coaches, you know, like if that Bills offensive coordinator, he's going to the Giants. So what's that going to do for the Giants, you know, because he's obviously an offensive minded guy. And, you know, now that the Getsy or whatever is going to be working with Fields, what does that mean for them? And I just think there's going to be a ton of movement based on the free agent class, based on some big quarterbacks, based on the head coaches moving, because head coaches, the first thing they want to do when they get to their new squad is get their guys in.
Yeah,
whoever their guy is, who knows? But so that's why I think there's going to be so much movement, is because of all the coaching changes and because of where people are at in their contracts.
Two other things that we haven't talked about yet is the offense was obviously very dull the other weekend or last weekend, and we talked about this, like how much of that was maybe Nathaniel Hackett, like probably knowing he's gonna, you know, how many interviews did he have the week prior to that? Like obviously, you know, it's tough for him to maybe
time committed to game planning. There's time taken away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to Chris's point, where if we do trade him, I have all the confidence in the world that Goot would be able to build this thing up.
Yeah.
There's everything that he's, I guess, what's something that we've been like really shook our head about of what he's done so far with since he's been general manager. He got Rodgers back this year, which nobody thought would happen. Rodgers is probably going to be the MVP of the year. We've been to 3 straight conference two conference championships, and then obviously this year. But he's obviously shown that he's definitely the guy that can probably get it done for us.
Well, the only thing I'm worried about with Goot, and I'm not worried about it because he's going to have an answer for it, but we are $41 million in the hole because of him.
True.
You know, so he's gonna get us out of it. There's no doubt. Like you don't pay a GM that much money to stay in debt. Like he's gonna get us out, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes about getting us out of this debt, because first of all, we got to get out $41 million.
I think, I think we have by the start of the new season.
And then on top of that, finding extra money to make the small improvements that we need to make too. But I agree, Mike. I think we are, as an organization, based on who we have returning, who we have under contract, I think we're in a position where we can rebuild without sacrificing wins. Like, I think we could put together, if Rodgers is gone, I'm saying, if Rodgers is gone, I think we can compete and put together a solid season while also rebuilding at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And who was that? Was that Todd McKay?
Yeah. So
that would be epic, by the way.
We're going to go there now.
Post up there, Mike.
We're going to go there now. Todd McKay. Heck of a guy. Says, if he retires, look at the Hall of Fame group, Brady, so what's the deal with that? Is Brady retired or what?
So what?
Okay, so the rumor I heard, and Ross, you can maybe confirm this, is that he's set to get paid. Isn't it like this week or something? He's set to get paid like more money or something like that.
His bonuses or something. He gets his bonus
or something like that. But Are the Mannings looking to buy the Broncos? That I saw something that he was maybe trying to get in with the Mannings to buy the Broncos.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, supposedly this is just the latest rumor, is that Brady is set to retire, but wanted to do it his way. And somebody within his production leaked it. Now I don't know if that's true or not, and who knows.
Let's just blame Sleepy Eye Schefter. Let's just blame it on that. That guy's.
But we should get him on.
To answer your question,
I got some words for him.
The Broncos are for sale. They are selling them right now. It's estimated at $4 billion. Yes, with a B, $4 billion. And
Who
there's
owns the team
two.
right now?
There's two. So it's a family that owned it, and there's like big time drama with it. And I don't know the exact details, but basically, like when the dad the dad was starting to like mentally fall apart in his old age, he did something where he gave the rights to the team to so many family members, or he split it up a certain way, and the family wants to sell because they don't want to have to deal with it and make sure somebody's there. They just don't want to run it anymore. But like one of the daughters does, and so one of the daughters was like fighting the whole lawsuit or whatever, that the dad was incompetent when he made that decision, and that it should be handed down to, like, there was just this,
That's
it was big family drama. But basically it's getting sold now. There's two major groups. One has John Elway as a minority owner, and one has Peyton Manning as a minority owner. They're in two separate parties, so they're not in the same one, but they're both only minority owners, which means that they have a couple dudes with them that are going to be bringing the bankroll. So I don't know who that is for Peyton.
Well, I can't tell you which group I am in. That'd be confidential. But okay. So let's say he's retired. Okay, Big Ben's retired. You know, Rodgers. Who knows? Peyton. That is a really good group. Obviously, just a great group. Something I wanted to talk to you guys about and kind of get your opinion on it. Is, you know, back, I don't know how many years now, we had this big old thing with Derek Jeter, and David Ortiz, where they go from ballpark to ballpark to ballpark, and they got all these gifts from all these teams, and it was this big old thing at every ballpark where they made it about their retirement, and oh my goodness, or we're never going to see anybody like this again. I can respect that. I can appreciate and respect, you know, the season's over. Now I can make my announcement instead of taking away from the team aspect all year.
That's what I think. If Rogers mentioned that on the Pat McAfee, that like it would actually be more. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, more stressful if he's doing this like final tour or whatever you want to call it. Like I'm just glad, you know, Big Ben did it at the year. I mean, I think his kind of leaked maybe a couple of games before.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see his video, by the way?
I
did not watch it.
I should watch it.
It's unreal,
dude. It's powerful.
You should go watch it.
It's so powerful. We'll put it on our Facebook page.
He had
for the
some really
boys,
good years. He was a solid quarterback.
Dude,
I know he has some controversy, but he was a good QB for so many years.
Well, 18 seasons, they never had a losing season.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Something just popped in my head. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I think it was Tom Brady. Yeah, it was Tom Brady tweeted it, and he said, Big Ben took TB12 differently than I did. Like as in Tom got the ball out of his hands right away and avoided contact at all means. And Big Ben would just be like covered in ice packs because he just took a beating. Yeah. And I remember watching this drill where the coach was throwing like the agile pads at the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks were moving. And then Big Ben gets up there and he throws them, and Big Ben is purposely like shouldering them and hitting them up. And all the coaches and players are just laughing. I'll have to send you guys that, but it's just funny. But he, you know, he won. You know, same thing with Brady. I mean, you can argue and hate them or whatever, but both of them just won. You know, they just won.
There's so many people that despise Brady, and another topic of conversation that we've had in our groups among many. We didn't even touch on the whole Bengals thing that happened just hours before, just minutes before we came on here. But I mean, so many people dislike him. So many people, I don't know that
so many people dislike Rodgers.
Yeah, right. For the same reasons.
Yeah.
Now after this drama fiasco, more different reasons for Rodgers, but politics included, you know, but the guy just won. The guy just found ways to win ball games. And it's the quarterback. He doesn't win the ball games alone. He had a really good coach. He had some really good defenses. But man, the guy found a way to win games. The greatest. He's the greatest quarterback.
What I think for me personally, because I hated the Patriots, I hated Tom Brady. Then I became a coach and I started, I don't want to call it studying, but I started reading some of Belichick's stuff, and then I realized I don't hate him anymore, and the dude's just a genius. But what I think sold me on Tom Brady, I mean, yes, he did unbelievable things for the Patriots. But to me, I think the true selling point was when he left the Patriots and still won a Super Bowl. Like that tells you something, you know, because like if you're with the Patriots and you're surrounded and you're in the same system and you're, you know, you got things going. Now, what they did is still unbelievable, but you know, we've seen it before where players will be on one team, they'll go to a different team and they'll struggle, right? To see him so successful after leaving the Patriots just proves that I hate to say this term because my high schoolers use it so much, but he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
he is the
That's
GOAT.
the thing. Yep. It's very hard to argue that.
Yeah.
So, moving on here, we're kind of not long on time, but 15 minutes in here. Get a little Badgers update from Matt.
Jason's comment.
That's a good one. Yeah, we should do that.
We should.
I'll run through this quick. Men's basketball, they're ranked 11th. Just going over this past week, they won 73-65 Thursday versus Nebraska. Brad Davidson is now the all-time leader in three-pointers made. And I actually thought, I was like, well, yeah, he's got fifth year. But he actually did it in 2 less games than Bronson Koenig, which I don't really know how that works out, but
probably.
Yeah. And then they won today 66-60 against Minnesota. And a little fun nugget on that, that record, all-time record, is tied at 124 right now. 124 each. So, and I think they got one more game this year.
God, they're so close in everything.
Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Yeah. Exactly tied down the middle.
What's the hockey record? What's the hockey record? You guys know that?
It's got to be Minnesota.
It's got to be Minnesota.
Yeah, it's got to be bad, but is it even close at all?
Someone look it up.
I'm on it.
Their upcoming game, Wednesday, is a big one. They play at number 24 Illinois. Those are the top 2 teams in the standings. Saturday is home versus Penn State. Men's hockey got throttled all weekend. They lost 5-1 to Michigan, who's really good. And then they lost 6-2 Saturday to Michigan. Upcoming, they play Friday and Saturday versus Ohio State. Women's hockey is now ranked 3rd. They tied 1-1 versus St. Cloud Friday and 1-4-0 Saturday.
That's good. That's good. Lie in the weeds.
Yep.
Lie in the weeds. Yep.
They play St. Thomas tomorrow night, which is a makeup day. And then Friday, Saturday versus Minnesota Duluth. And then football, we hired Bobby Ingram as our OC. From what I can see, seems like a pretty good resume from him. And then in the mix for Caleb Williams, but maybe not.
Hey, real quick.
News.
Yeah.
Minnesota leads the all-time record for, we're talking hockey here.
Yeah.
176, 99, and 24 ties.
Yeah, sorry I brought it up. Yeah, I mean,
so 80 wins.
But with that, NCAA national titles, the Badgers actually have 6, and Minnesota only has 5.
Suck it, Gophers.
I see. That's women's. Yep, you're right. I was gonna say women's. It's damn close for women.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know about Caleb Williams though. It sounds like I don't know.
It's one of those things where I don't want to get my hopes up, but then I found myself getting my hopes up, and it's.
I checked Twitter I've searched Caleb Williams on Twitter way too many times over the past week.
So I've done that too. You see that guy that's drinking a raw egg every day?
Yeah, I've seen that. Drinks a raw egg every day until he comes.
Oh man,
you gotta love Wisconsin fans, though. You got to.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to talk about it, but there's got to be NIL offerings getting just thrown at him, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Big time.
At USC, it's like a minimum $5 million or something like that. That's what his number is.
Yeah. Well, that I saw today that Jock Sports, which is who represents Braylon Allen for that NIL or whatever, he said if this is they tweeted and said if it's taking so long because of NIL, Jock Sports is on board. Who's going to join us?
Nice.
So they're trying to build a package for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Gosh, I was gonna say something else here. Yeah, so next week or 2 weeks ago, or it'll be the Sunday right before Super Bowl, right? Because they
What?
take a week off for the Pro Bowl
Oh,
this
yeah.
next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
LaFleur and his
Yep.
depleted staff will be coaching in.
That's a joke. Absolute
Yeah.
joke. But whatever, I guess. I mean, whatever. We're not playing. Might as well. So yeah, our next guest, just a little hint for everybody, went to the same school as somebody else that we've already had on the podcast. So just a
Ooh.
little hint for everybody.
Little
Ooh.
nugget there.
Yeah.
A little teaser for all of you fans out there. Did get a couple requests lately for some apparel drop. Would like to, I don't know. I would like to see if there's more interest. I mean, last time we did it, we had a decent order, but it's worth like 4 or 5 people want it. Then we can figure it out from there. But all right, anything else, guys? Nope.
Negative.
Well,
What about, did we do Reedsburg Sports quick?
yeah, we can do that.
Just zip through it. Give us.
Actually, Saturday I went to the girls Edgewood game, and it was like kind of funny because like I'm sitting there and I'm in the guest adult for some reason. I don't know why I decided to sit there, but I did. And like Edgewood was hanging around. End of the first, we were down by 1, and this whole time it just felt like there's no way. Like the girls' team is really good, and like they were gonna get it. They were gonna figure it out second half, and they just started smoking them out of the water. But yeah, RWD. Yeah, we play sock Saturday. That's a big one. Never played very well down there ever in the history of the program, but both programs actually. So we'll see how that goes. Baseball open gym has started. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody.
One more big thing.
One more.
Shout out to the new hotel coming to town.
That's right.
Did we talk about that already, or was that just in chat?
I think we just texted about it.
Yeah.
And I heard the Antique Roadshow, or not Antique Roadshow, the radio auction. I heard that went really well too. Yeah, and Jay Green RWD helped support that.
They did.
By volunteering their services to that. I saw as well. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We should have mentioned it last time. I think we had talked about it, but
well, we were going to go live before it.
That's right. That's right. And then we decided, no, not a good idea. Not a good idea. But no, that's super cool. Very proud thing that our community does for everybody. And Mayor Dave, who we've had on here, is just a great guy, and it's just super cool. So hopefully the community is able to get out and support. There's 2 other things here. One, my dad did buy 30 bowling tickets. So if you guys are around and want to go bowling, my dad just likes to call in and get his name heard on the radio and TV. And then Mike, you want to share something about your dad too? You want to give your dad a shout out?
If you see a shorter man rolling around Reedsburg, Wisconsin, in a big 2019 Chevy Colorado, that's Big Mike now. The Blazer, the mini Blazer he's had for how long, man? I don't even know. I think it was 200.
Yeah, oh man, it's been a long time.
220,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
But so listen to this. This is actually hilarious. This week he drove the Blazer to Marinette to look at a vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
To
Mike.
Milwaukee and back to look at a vehicle.
Okay.
To Chippewa Falls, where he found the Chevy Colorado.
Yeah.
Back. Then they took the Blazer. So he
traded the Blazer in.
Making the last round.
Yeah, she had the last rounds in her.
And it sounds like he may be also getting a new phone in February.
Oh,
so he is moving.
And yes, for those of you who don't know, he still has the old flipper.
My 16 years he had the Blazer.
16.
Your mom just messaged you?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is it's just funny.
If you see Big Mike cruising, he'll be going this too. One hand probably rolling around, and he won't be if it's if the speed limit's 35, he's going 35. So you'll
And he'll do one of these. He'll do one. Hey, how you doing? Right? Hey, just the steering wheel wave. That's how it's done.
Yeah, that's awesome. So congrats, Big Mike. Enjoy. Everybody else, have a good week, and we'll see you soon. All right.
Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.